Okay, so you want a multimeter that fits in your pocket. There's kind of three main contenders in the under $20 range. This one, the Victor VC921, the ANENG AN101, and the Uni-T UT120C. So, which one is best? Let's find out in multimeter shootout. So let's start with the Victor. You get a multimeter, you get a little wrist strap which you can hook in there, and you get a manual completely in Chinese. Completely, well, if you read Chinese it's not useless, but really, I mean, you can pick the specs out really. Let's go up here. DC volts, or international, so it tells you the voltage range. I'm guessing this is the accuracy, and this is the resolution. So, you know, you can pick the basic data out, but, you know, pages like this, what does this say? No idea. Something with battery indicator? Who knows? So let's look at the meter. It comes in a plastic box, which is just a bit too hard to open, in my opinion. You have to really... maybe it'll loosen up with use, I don't know. And one of the things you'll notice on the eBay adverts is that the lid's got a slot in it, so that you have to turn the meter off, put it in the off position before you can close the lid. So that means you can't accidentally leave it on. And one of the things you won't see in the eBay adverts is the comedy message inside the lid. We thank you very much for purchasing our personal pocket digital multimeter. This model is a most reliable, high-precision instrument designed by our excellent technology. Before you use your new instrument, please read operator's manual completely and familiarize yourself thoroughly with all functions. All one sentence. With proper use and care, your digital multimeter will give you years of satisfactory service. And let's look at the meter. So, meter, beep beep. Its meter takes 2 AAA batteries to run, which I haven't got any lying around the bench. And the probes go on the little holder in the side, and you lift up this little flap and they should pop out, except this one's fallen inside. And it doesn't want to come out. Maybe I can fish it out with this one. And you're already beginning to see problems with this meter. The ergonomics are just terrible. The same thing, when you want to put the probes back in, you have to be really careful. You have to put the leads in here and get both probes, like just fit them into the bottom there. And put the points into that little black plastic thing, make sure there's no wires in the way. Come on. You can do this on camera. Nope. You can do it. Come on. You can do it. Hey. So it's just... hate the thing. Let's see if we can do it again, because people won't believe me. You've got to get the probe. So you've got to get the bases right inside there, lined up perfectly, and close the little flap like that. But anyway, what's it like to use? Well, it's got all the basic functions. It's got capacitance, resistance, continuity, diode, volts, and it's got hertz and duty, which, if you can read that, printed on red on black. Hertz and duty cycle. So let's give it a few tests. Oh, it beeps every time you change the dial, which is very annoying. Let's give it a little bit of a workout. My little tester, let me zoom in. So it is auto ranging. So I'm going to start with hertz ohms. 10k ohms. Pretty good. 1k ohms. Yep, 2 ohms off. Let's go to the volts range. 5 volts. Spot on. 2.048 volts. Spot on. And go to the amps range. Oh wait, this one doesn't have any amps range. Oh dear. Yeah, that's right. There's no amps range on this meter. If you need to measure current, you're out of luck. But anyway, let's go on. Let's do the obligatory continuity buzzer test. It's quite loud and quite fast. Not bad. Now, one of the really bad things about this meter, which is a huge fail, as you'll see in a minute, when you go to pack this away, if you can get the probes in. Did I say this was fiddly? The famous slot in the lid, which doesn't let you close it without switching out first. Well, first of all, this meter's got 2 off positions, and if you put it there, fail. And the second thing is that even when it's in one of the other ranges, you can still close the lid easily. Look, lid is closed. And if you thought it was hard to open before, it's under tension because it has to go across the top of the switch. And that's actually loosened up a bit. The first time that happened to me, I had to get a screwdriver to open it because you just can't get the thing open again. So the famous can't close the lid unless that it's switched off slot, fail. Maybe if you put it in there, it's even worse. Yeah, there we go, still closes. And now I literally cannot, oh yes I can, open that. I imagine this little there's a little plastic tab there that holds the lid shut. I imagine that's breaking with time, wearing out. Because like the first time that happened to me, I literally could not open it. But anyway, this special battery saving feature, fail. Next up, the Uni-T UT120C. Now I really like the case on this meter. It kind of feels nice, and you can see the meter through it. It's transparent. And if you look here, there's a little bit which is more transparent. So if the meter's on, you can actually read the numbers through the case. And this also helps. You can't accidentally leave the meter on because you'll be able to see through the window that you left it on, which in my opinion is a much better system than this stupid slot thing. Did I mention I don't like that stupid slot? It also might mean if you're going somewhere where it's like if it's raining or it's really dirty or something like that, what you can do is you can get the leads out, and there's a little slot at the bottom, at the top, so you can bring the leads out through that slot, close the lid up, and use the meter, and you can read the numbers through the lid, and you can test your whatever you're testing. So it's really, if you're going somewhere that's really filthy or wet, maybe that's the meter for you. And the lid folds completely back, as you can see. The dial, it's like a thumb dial. You use it like this. It's got little ridges on it for grip. Yeah, it's pretty full function. This one does measure current only up to 400 milliamps. And it does have a fuse. It has a polyfuse inside, resettable fuse, so if you overload it, it shuts down for a bit, and when the thing cools down, it comes back again. There's no actual physical fuse that you need to change. It has a cat rating printed on there, cat to 600 volts, which, yeah, maybe, I don't know. It's not a ridiculous claim, let's say that. We'll have a look inside later on and see what you think. It's got quite full function. It's got hertz, volts, ohms, amps, obviously, hertz, and duty cycle. It's got a rail button, hold, this one button to select the hertz, and this one selects when there's various options on one position. This is on ohms at the moment, and when I press select it will go to that's diode test, continuity test, and capacitance. So let's give it a test. Let's go to ohms mode first. Get a bit more lead out. Let's start with PVC leads. Hang on. Ready. So, 10k ohms. Did you see that? So it says 998, but it just takes forever to get there. And this is the one thing I really don't like about this meter. The ohms range is really slow. I mean, you saw the Victor was actually quite a decent meter for speed. But this one, especially in the ohms range, it just takes forever. Let me think. So 997 ohms. Let's go 1k. 997, so both of those are a bit low. Let's go to the volts range. So 5 volts. 5.00, yep. 2.048 volts. 2.053, a bit high. And let's go to the current ranges. Let's do milliamps. This is 10 milliamps. 10.8, going down. Well, it's within a percent, so 10 milliamps. Go to the microamps range. 100 microamps. So it's, you know, good enough. Not brilliant, good enough for a little pocket multimeter. Let's put that back on there. So, meter, it works okay. The probes are quite easy to put back. You can be careful and you can wind them around. There's some little posts in there, like that, if you want to. But usually, you know, as long as everything's inside, there's plenty of space inside the lid, so you just, you know, kind of stuff it all in like that. And the lid, as long as everything's inside, it'll still close. So next up, the ANENG 101. Now this is, I think this is quite a new meter in the market. It's only been out for a couple of months. This is one of the first ones. And it's obviously they've copied the case from the Uni-T. The same transparent plastic, same window in the lid. You know, it's got a little slot to bring the probes out, and this has only got a slot at the bottom. It hasn't got a probe slot at the top. But this case has one trick that the Uni-T doesn't. See if you can spot it. There's a bit of plastic which is like moulded to go around the dial there. This took me ages to figure out. My girlfriend, she just picked it up and used it, and I was very annoyed because it took me like 3 or 4 uses to spot this. And this little bit of plastic folds out, and you guessed it, it's a stand. So you can use this meter with a stand like that. And this one you can't, it has to be flat on the table like that. So extra points for the ANENG. Okay, let's do the basic functional tests. This is start on the ohms range. This is a 10k resistor. If I can do it, 10k. Again, it's pretty slow, so 999. So 1k resistor. Yeah, 1k. Let's go to the volts range. This is 5 volts. Perfect. 2.048 volts. 2.04. Pretty good. Go to the current range. is 10 milliamps, 10.2, and 100 microamps, and 100.8. Huh? I'll give that a pass. Now I can get this stupid case open. I just want to take a quick look. Put in volts mode, volts mode, volts mode. I want to take a quick look at the screens side by side. I think it should be obvious even on camera. This one has the best screen. It's really, really black, really sharp. I would say this one the second. Not much between these two. I really like this screen. The viewing angle isn't brilliant. Kind of washes out when you get to about, well, so does the other one. About there. But when you're looking at them like this one's just way blacker, way sharper, easier to read. Especially when the case is closed, this one's just a lot more visible through the case. Like that. You know, which one of those can you see better? This one, obviously. So for the screen, I'm going to give thumbs up to this one. And as for the probes, again, there's not much in it. I think these are a bit longer. These are probably about the same. The Uni-T and the Victor. No, I think the Uni-T is longer. Well, I can get that on camera. Let me put them over there. Hang on. Get organised. 2 meters over there, and I think you can see Uni-T is longer. Cheating. People are going to call me a cheat. Okay. Uni-T, longer. Quality wise, nothing in it. These are a bit smaller. One thing I have noticed is if we go to the ohms range, that the probes on the ANENG have quite a high resistance just by themselves. Usually it's about, as you can see, I'm just shorting the probes out, about 2 ohms in the leads, which you have to subtract because it doesn't have a rel button. So if you're measuring small resistors, remember to subtract 2. This one does have a rel button, and the resistance, are we on resistance mode? No. As you can see, the resistance is, well, it says 0, which is hard to believe, but that's what it says. Do the same thing with these, short out the leads, and that also says 0, so this one's also lying. I don't think any probes measure 0. So these two are lying, this one's more honest. But this is a little bit high, 2 ohms, it's not the best. But these probes, I don't know if you've noticed, are detachable, so maybe you could replace them or put some thicker wiring or something like that. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to do a continuity test. I didn't do the test with these two when I did the basic function test. I want to do a continuity test, sort of all three together, so you get an idea, because as you'll see, this one's quite a healthy sounding buzzer on it. And these two, it's quite a bit quieter. Can you hear that? It's kind of higher pitched and a lot quieter. This one's, as you see, non-matching. You hear the squeaky, scratchy sound, which means it's quite fast, but it does sound horrible. And this one's kind of in between, but it's extremely quiet. Is that even going to come out on camera? I can hear it quite well, but I've got the camera level set really low. Hope you can hear that. So this is the quietest. That one's still not very loud, but definitely louder than the ANENG. And then there's this one. And it's also latching. So if you're hard of hearing, this is the one to go for. And now the moment you've all been waiting for, time to take them apart and see what's inside. We're in. Okay, we're sort of in. These two have come apart and you can see the insides right away, but this one you can't. Because all the workings are on the other side of the board. More disassembly required. But check this out. It's got a test point there. See, it says test, and two buttons. A hold button and a select button, which aren't on the other side. I wonder if this has got some secret built-in functions. Ooh, interesting. Okay, ooh, that's not good. Hang on. Thread it through that slot. Okay, we're in. Here we go. Okay, so first impressions. This one you've got to take out. This is the Victor. You've got to take the entire PCB out, and that disconnects all your zebra strips on your LCD and everything, which I'm not keen on. And what have we got inside? A chip on PCB, blobbed chip, obviously. Not sure what that is. I'll have to get my magnifying glass out and have a look. It says PTC here, so that's PTC. Input protection, and not much else. No calibration ports. Nothing like that. A couple of diodes. Where's the input go? It goes from here up to there. So there's a resistor ladder. That must be input protection. Is that the input? Yeah. So that would be high impedance input. And this doesn't measure amps, so there's no low impedance. And your PTC is over there for some reason. There's your buzzer. And that's pretty much it. I wonder if that's some kind of a... Yeah, let me get my magnifying glass out. Where is it? Okay, so I've just looked up the chip on the internet, got my magnifying glass out and looked at the number. And it's an EEPROM, which is obvious if you think about it, because there's no calibration pots on here anywhere at all. It must be electronic calibration, and presumably the calibration data is stored in there. So next up, the Uni-T. And I'm just going to hold this here for a few seconds, because look at this. This is just beautiful. The guy who laid this out, he had a real eye for, you know, let's put these all in a nice, neat little row. You know, all these transistors in a little square, these diodes in a square down here. Just look at that. That's beauty. That's like a little garden, a little green field with little ornamental plants in it. I'm just going to hold that there. Look at that. But anyway, getting back to the electronics. What have we got? We've got quite a lot of input protection by the looks of things. You've got a MOV over here. This presumably is your high impedance input going up this side. So you've got your MOV, chain of MELF resistors. That would be, was that 4 diodes? Probably, presumably some sort of rectifier. So that would be high impedance. That's quite a lot of input protection. High speed clamp, these two things here. So this rating here, cat to 600 volts, that's actually quite believable. Looking at look, all this here is just input protection, all the way up to there. Yeah, that's believable. Weird, that's a Uni-T. Okay, and then over on this side, presumably that's your low impedance input, so the amps ranges. That's going through PTC here, which is your resettable polyfuse. So what happens is if you pass too much current through here, this heats up, goes high impedance, so it stops the flow of current through the meter. Then when it cools down again, you let it sit there for a couple of minutes, it will cool down, go back to normal low impedance. And then presumably up here, not much else to see. Another clamp on this side as well, so it's got protection here and here. Not bad at all. Weird. And check this out, this is weird. There's kind of two, little focus, two metal springs here, which go through a slot in the PCB. Here and here, one on each side, so they're not stuck down at all. I'm going to lift them up. And here it says BZ, so presumably they go through there onto the buzzer, which is going to be behind the screen somewhere. I guess the way to find that would be to, I'm going to switch it on in buzzer mode. Put probes together. Lift one up and see if it stops buzzing. No, it doesn't. So it's not the buzzer. What are they? I don't know. So last up, the ANENG. Now it's obvious at first glance this is a much simpler PCB than the Uni-T. A lot less components, a lot less input protection, but then again this costs half as much as this does, so you know, that's to be expected. And let's have a look. This is the positive input jack. So that goes up there. There's a little thin trace right on the edge of the board. Is that going to come out on camera? Let's get in there. Macro. So the very thin trace goes up there and then arrives at this component, which I assume is a PTC, judging by the colour. And it's in series with the input. And underneath, can you see that? It says FU. Is that going to come out on camera? So again, this could be fused. It doesn't say anything on the front, but if that's a PTC in series, then it's a fuse. Same as the Uni-T. A bit smaller, same colour. And then it comes out of here and goes, looks like it goes underneath. No, it goes across here, so this must be a mauve, judging by the colour again. Mauves are usually green. There's green in this one, green in this one. And I'm not happy about the position of that mauve. It's actually really bent over and almost touching those two resistors there, which I assume are part of the input protection. So if the mauve breaks down or explodes, you know, it could bypass one of these resistors, or do they go? I'm not sure. I'm not happy about that anyway. So PTC mauve. It's got some MELF resistors going up there, so it does have some semblance of input protection. I can't see a high-speed clamp. There's only one transistor here. Usually they come in pairs, like These two here, these two here. And that's about all she wrote. All these are just capacitors, got the diodes. Not much else to it. It's got the buzzer stuck on a little bit of double-sided tape there, which is a bit of a cheat. And it's got a potentiometer here, which is for calibration. I assume. Another one there, it's got two, maybe for different ranges, volts and EC or something. And not much else in there. Quick functional test, see if they still work. Switch that on. Volts, 5 volts. -5, you hold the probes backwards, yeah, -5. Let's have, which is on continuity for some reason. 5 volts. 5. This one. It's on the volts range. 5 volts, okay, all good. So, which one of these three am I going to take home? Well, the Victor. Let me just put these away. Let me see if I can get these probes back in there. A little. Hey, managed it. I guess practice will make perfect. I just don't like it. It's not nice to use, it's not nice to get out, pack away, and also it doesn't measure amps, and I'm going to insist on having amps in my pocket multimeter. So even though this is kind of, maybe you could say, the best multimeter at doing all the other things, it's kind of faster, it's got a louder beep, and what have you. Just because of this stupid case and the fact that it doesn't measure amps, I'm going to reject that one. So what's it to be? Uni-T or ANENG? Well, obviously it's a bit of a personal decision, but I'm going to give them each a few points based on some categories. Uni-T gets a point for being better built. It's obviously got a much prettier PCB. A bit more input protection, stuff like that. So, build quality, Uni-T takes it. Uni-T also gets a point for having a couple more features. So it has a frequency, duty cycle, and capacitance measurements, which the ANENG doesn't. The ANENG gets a point for, first of all, the screen, which is quite a bit more contrasty, easier to read than the Uni-T. It also gets a point for the little stand. I mean, if you're using it, that makes a big difference. This adds value, so it gets a point for that. So, 2 points each. How do we decide? And for me, again, it's going to come down to usability. The ohms range on this is just too slow. Let's remind ourselves, this is a 10k resistor. Oh, come on, let's get a reading. There we go. 10k, this is a 1k resistor. Oh, come on, there we go. That's whereas this, I think it's a little bit faster in auto ranging mode. There's 1k. This is 10k. So it might be a little bit faster. Yeah, not a lot in it. I think this is a little bit faster. But as we've seen, you can switch to manual ranging mode and you get most instantaneous readings. There you go, 1k. You want to get a good contact. 1K. Take 2 or 3. 1K resistor. Boom, there's your reading. As fast as that. Switch to 10K ohms mode. 10K resistor. Boom, there's your reading. Fast as that. And that's a big usability thing. And for me, that's what it comes down to. This meter is just a little bit more nicer and usable, more usable. So, I'm going to call it. If you're more technical, you need extra features, get the Uni-T. But me personally, I'm going to take the ANENG with me next time I go out of the house. So there you have it. The winner is the ANENG 101, the cheapest meter out of these three. And for me, you know, just for basic simple measurements, volts, ohms, amps, it's the winner. And if you like this review, check out my other videos, give them a thumbs up, and I'll see you next time. And here we have the obligatory feline interlude. Where you look at this, you're on camera. To investigate what's going on. Come on, you. Yeah. I want to kick you off because we're doing a little multimeter shootout.